Hey everyone, and welcome back to CDY Bites. Now, my next guest, recent single, Almost There. This just caught me right off the bat. I absolutely love this song. I've been diving into all of his music, and now he's here to talk all about this. Singer-songwriter Ben Hutchinson joins me. Ben, welcome to the show, man. Great to have you here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, mate. Yeah, it's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right. So let's talk about Almost There. This was put out back in March, but what's the story behind this one?
So, with a lot of my stories and a lot of my songs, they kind of come out of somewhere or some sort of inspiration. And this does come from an inspiration, but it's not necessarily sort of like a story in some way. This was more that I'd gone through a bit of a darker period in my life, and I wasn't feeling mentally great in general. And I just started to come out the other end of it. I was feeling, kind of nearly there with myself and nearly in a really good mental space. And this kind of song kind of just started to kind of flow out of me in some way. It became sort of like I'd say like a motivational track to me.
Yeah.
Just kind of that idea that you're not quite there with that kind of that place yet, but you will be there, and you're going to be fine, and everything is going to work out. And that's it. Just kind of started flowing out from there. So yeah, to me, it's a bit of a motivational track. I've spoken to so many people, and they've kind of taken different things from it. But yeah, for me, it's motivational in some way.
I definitely got that vibe too, because like hearing it, you can kind of hear like the, I guess like the positivity of it. The like, I'm gonna be okay, we're gonna make it. I definitely got that. Does real life inspire like all your music? Does it seem to be like what you're going through kind of ties into your songs?
Yeah, I think it's not for every song. There
Sure.
are a few songs that I've kind of done where sometimes inspiration just strikes. There's quite a few where I've got I think a lot of people. I think for songwriters, one of the easiest things to write about is probably love in general. And I've got quite a few love songs and stuff. But there's quite a few of those love songs in general that aren't necessarily written about anyone. They're just kind of songs that have kind of flowed out of me, or I've thought, oh, that's actually a great hook. I kind of want to put that into a style of a song. But yeah, most of the songs I have, especially from say like my self-titled debut album, that they're mostly kind of from experiences and things that I've been through in life, and I kind of just wanted to find a way to put pen to paper. I was never very good at kind of writing like poems or anything like that, so I was one of those who's like, actually, I'll use the one art form I know I can do. So
I get, dude, I'm exactly the same way. I think if I had to like write a poem, like, does it rhyme? And yeah, how's this stuff work?
yeah, exactly that. It's like, oh, I'm pretty sure I've got to get this in the correct sort of paragraphing and correct phrasing, but no, yeah, with songs I was just like, no, I'm gonna let it flow out of me, and I'll sing it how I want after that.
Yeah, yeah. So is the writing just kind of like just getting it out there and then just going from there?
Yeah, I think so. Sometimes it is. I've done a few collaboration tracks recently and in the past, and when I've been doing songs where we had to write about that, sometimes it's very much, we've got plenty of time, and it's like you've got this track, have some time, think about it, do what you want to do with it. And there's been times where I've been given a track and they go, you've got 24 hours. Give me some lyrics, give me some stuff on top, give me a melody and everything. And I'm like, okay, I'll
Uh-oh.
pluck something together and see what makes sense and see what I can get together. And sometimes they come out absolutely rubbish, and sometimes they come out well enough that we're going to release them, sort of thing. So yeah, I think a lot of the time I like to try and just put pen to paper and try and put some feelings down and some emotions into it that I've kind of experienced myself. But yeah, there's sometimes where it is very much like you're on a deadline, get some lyrics down and
Right.
see what you can work around it. Yeah.
Okay, you mentioned some collaborations, and I love to talk about that. Who you been working with?
Yeah, so one of the first collaborations I did was with a guy called Toby Rose. So we worked on a song called "Make Me Hurt." We released that through Suave Records, based in Amsterdam. And essentially, yeah, we then did a few songs together. So we did a cover of "Stand by Me," which is the one that's kind of blown up for us, which is amazing. And then I did one with him and another artist called Shobi. So Toby and Shobi together, which was a bit of an interesting one on my side, but yeah, so we did the cover of September together. I've just recently been working on one or two with a few different producers as well. I've got one coming out with a producer called Garnick that will be coming out in 2 or 3 weeks. So yeah,
Ooh.
hopefully should be out very soon. And yeah, there's just one of those where I'm always up to doing collaborations with people in general anyway. So whether it's kind of my sort of music or their sort of music, or I like to try and find a common ground and see what we can go with. So like the next one that's coming up is kind of still again a bit more my house style, but it's got essences of country around it and stuff, and a bit of pop in it too. Because obviously my sort of style is a bit more country rock. So yeah, I'm trying to bring my essence into it whenever I can. So
Okay. I want to talk about the UK country scene because
yeah.
I hear this here and there, and I never knew that there was one. I always kind of thought that the country thing was just like it was something you had in the States. It kind of just was our genre. But what is the UK country scene like? What's like happening there right now?
Yeah, I mean, there has been a UK country scene for a little while, but nothing compared to what it is in the States at all. It is starting to grow massively now. I think since obviously kind of the last, I want to say probably the last 2 or 3 years, when you've seen people like I want to say actually in the UK, probably one of the biggest changing points was uh two artists, probably Noah Kahan with things like Stick Season and stuff when that came out, because that's obviously it's got all essences of folk and stuff, but it's a bit more country, and that's kind of that was really big in our kind of general commercial pop scene for a while. So that really kind of brought country towards the forefront. And then obviously Post Malone recently kind of took his dive into country as well. And I personally think he did an absolutely great job with the album. But yeah, that kind of I think that brought country to the eyes of a lot of people since. And yeah, it's a really cool thing to see loads of people really getting into it and kind of getting behind people like Morgan Wallen and Luke Combs and stuff, and kind of really seeing. Obviously, they're massive artists in America and around the world, but to a lot of people, country was kind of a genre that was kind of taboo essentially in England. It was kind of one of those where it's like, oh no, we're not gonna listen to country. And then a lot of them are now kind of, they've all got their country cowboy boots and they've got their hats on, and it's one of those, and you're kind of just like, okay, so I'm pretty sure you're the guy who 5 years ago said, "Yeah, I'm never going to touch country," and now, yeah, oh yeah, I couldn't ever not listen to Chris Stapleton or anything like that. So yeah, it's definitely growing. It's a really cool scene. We have things like Country to Country in London every year, so a big London festival. We get loads of American artists coming over, and we try and put on these British artists as well. We do have quite a few kind of smaller country festivals around the UK as well, and the scene is definitely growing, and we're seeing a few kind of country bars and stuff pop up around the UK and stuff as well, which is really cool. So yeah, there's and that's
Wow.
for country artists, that's amazing because it's one of those that's where
Yeah.
we get down our bread and butter. So yeah.
Yeah. And of course we have to mention that your song Living for the Weekend was a nominee for UK Country Song of the Year by the UK Country Awards.
It
I mean,
was, yes,
so
yeah.
you're definitely a force in this one too.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those where I think the idea of country growing in general in the UK is a good thing for us because it means that my brand in general can grow as well, which is really useful. Sadly, obviously, I didn't get into the finals with the nomination, but it is one of those where to be nominated is already enough of a reward at that point. So I'm definitely happy to have that. And yeah, it's there's a lot of recognition starting to get shown around for country in the UK, and it's just exciting time for it. So hopefully, it means that with that genre growing here, it means that hopefully my kind of music can grow as well.
Yeah, and you know what? There's always next year. It's always
Exactly
next
that.
year.
And if
Yeah.
I can, I'll be over in America whenever I can. Like I'm looking on things like bands in town and stuff, and like where we kind of
Oh
put all the gigs
yeah.
on and things. And most of the people that follow me actually is one of those. I've got most of the followers in places like New York and stuff, and I'm kind of going, that's great, but I don't live anywhere near there, so I'll have to see what I
Right.
can do and get over. So
It's like glad you're listening, but I can't really play in New York, guys.
yeah, it's I'll come over when I've got enough fans to make it worth the trip at that point. Yeah, it's
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, no, it's a really cool thing. I've been on loads of different places, like loads of radio stations and kind of podcasts and stuff around America and stuff, and it's cool to hear the like kind of diverse difference between the UK scene and the American scene, because obviously it's one of
Yeah.
those where we as like country artists or country fans over in the UK heavily follow the American scene, unless obviously they're kind of just getting into country here, where a lot of the people who, as I said, are just getting into it are kind of just getting used to this whole UK scene, which is there is a different vibe to it. It's definitely it's not a bad vibe at all. It's just it's one of those. It's not quite there as it is with America yet. So
Yeah. And I think the sound is very different too, like in terms of like your music, I might think that's maybe more like a folk sound. I wouldn't necessarily say country, but that's my perspective at the end of the
yeah,
day.
no, of course.
Um, and I think that like what I kind of like is that you're not just copying what you're hearing in the US. You're taking the elements and doing your own thing too.
Yeah, and I think we kind of have to. I think that's the thing because obviously it's one of those where America, if when it comes to doing that like sort of country scene and that style of like the Americanized country, yeah, you guys have nailed it, and there's nothing we can do to do better on that. So it's one of those we're going to go actually if we're going to do something, let's do something slightly different. So we'll take our slight kind of British influence and kind of take it. We'll add a bit of crunch to it, we'll add a bit more kind of pop essence, and then yeah, as I said there might be some folky essence around a lot of it as well. But that's the thing, folk is something that's really exploded around sort of Ireland and kind of the UK as well. And there's loads of stuff and loads of these kind of genres that are starting to really get some recognition just because obviously things like country and stuff become such a big thing as well. So yeah, there's a lot of people that have a lot of different influence. I think one of the most common influences you'll see in England at the moment is kind of that country pop sort of style.
Yeah.
Very, very sort of I'd say kind of well, probably in the UK's version, probably more kind of Taylor Swift stuff because obviously I know she's got a lot of country stuff in general, but you know, in the UK, a lot of it's where it's more of her popular stuff that's kind of out there and things. So it's yeah, more kind of like a country pop essence is what you'll see in the British scene at the moment. But there's a lot of country folk as well and stuff. So yeah, you're completely right.
Yeah. You mentioned the collaborations earlier, and I did want to actually talk about your self-titled album debut about 3 years
Mm.
ago. I noticed that you had another voice on on these songs. Who is this?
Yeah, so I mean, the titled what's up, self-titled album essentially is one of those that I was at university and I was studying a master's degree in commercial music, and just went okay, well actually, whilst I'm doing my last year and doing my masters, one of the projects we had to do is put a few like two or three songs together and do some production on it ourselves and kind of be able to show that you can just make those songs. And I said, you know what, sort of instead of doing that, I'm actually just gonna put the full album together and we're gonna roll with that. So I had my band at the time do that. So I had that's just actually four different voices in there, which is obviously myself. You've got Jack Scanlon, my bassist, who I still play with now. I've had he was my guitarist at the time. It was Jamie Watson, who's actually over in Belfast. He's a great music. All of these are great musicians themselves as well, so definitely go check them out. But yeah, he was the kind of the more powered voice in kind of a lot of these songs. So things like Poison, right at the end when you hear a bit more power in the chorus and stuff, that was him. And the female voice you're hearing it is a person called Avril Tricker, or her, she's known as Avril Amber as her kind of stage name. But yeah, they're incredible singers. They're all brilliant musicians in their own right. And it was just one of those where I was extremely lucky to have them in my band and just have the ability to work with them because I'm one of those people where I'd love to have people's opinions and influences in my songs and my music. So I'll bring normally with the band, I'll bring the song to them just as an acoustic sort of thing and say, look, here's the
Mhm.
song. If I've got a really specific idea, then I kind of put it towards them. But otherwise, I say, look, here's the song. Let's write together. Let's figure something out around it. You know, you write the drum part, you write the guitar, you write the bass. We'll kind of have our own parts in it. So
I love that. I love that this album was basically just like a school project, what it kind of like boiled down to. I love that thing. It's so cool.
yeah, that's the thing. It's one of those. I'd always planned to do an album anyway, and I was like, you know what? Actually, if I've got this chance to do it, let's do it now. Might as well. So
Exactly. Do it now, and it sounds amazing stuff.
thank you, mate. Yeah, it's I definitely. Having been a few years on, it's one of those. Obviously, there's a lot of things where I look back and go, I'd have done it this way now, or I'd have changed it
Sure.
and things. But at the
Yeah.
time, I'm not one of those who ever. There's a lot of artists who will sit there and say, I don't like my old stuff, and I'm like, actually, no, like it's my old stuff. That's the point. That it shows the progress and the evolution of where I've come from. Like, go back
Yeah.
to one of my first EPs, and this, it's relatively poorly recorded. They're not the best kind of singing and stuff, and it's one of those blow. But it's like, but it shows the evolution. Like, it shows what I used to be like to what I'm now. It's yeah, I'm never against having my old stuff up. So,
How would you say you've improved from that album to where we are today?
I think I'm definitely more directed to a specific sound of country.
Hmm.
I think that one was where I did have a lot of different influences, and I wanted to bring in those folk and pop and kind of rock influences and stuff. And I still do that with a lot of different songs that I do, but I think the way I kind of would have described that is that 50% of that album was country, and the other 50% was split between these other genres. And now, kind of, when I'm doing my songs, I'm in that mindset of like, well, no, this song is like 80% country, and it has these influences of about 10% this or 5% that and stuff. And I am now trying to be in more in that way. My voice has definitely improved in from that as well. My skills have improved, my songwriting has improved, but that just happens over time and with just practice essentially. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think it's definitely it's just an evolution of being an artist in general is a way to kind of say that yeah, I've improved.
Okay. Now let us talk gigs because I see you have a lot lined up for the summer. Any places that are kind of special to you? Any like
Yeah, special to me or just special to
yeah.
you?
Yeah, I think special to you. Yeah. Anything kind of stands out to you?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the gigs that I'm doing at the moment is one of those where I work in the music industry in general for a day-to-day job, but yeah, it's kind of working in a live music, but we can go into that at another point. But yeah, it's a situation where yeah, there's a few places that definitely are special to me. Sadly, at the moment, for a lot of the things I'm doing is a lot of cover gigs, and I think a lot of artists who, aren't in that kind of 0.1% at the top will understand what I'm saying when is I love doing cover gigs because it's always good fun. It's always great to do, but the only reason I use the word sadly is because obviously every artist wants to be able to do their own music instead of doing cover gigs. But I'm not against them. They are good fun. If people can enjoy themselves and have a great night at the same time, that's what I'm there for. That's the aim. I've actually got one tonight. I had one last night, sort of thing as well. So yeah, I think there's a lot of gigs coming up. One or two that are definitely special to me. There's one actually just down the road from me. There's a place called Dakota Saloon. Really, really cool place. Based down in Weston, just outside of Bristol from where I'm from. And it's this really cool Americanized bar. Literally kind of just, yeah, really, really standard. Like you'd walk into sort of a honky tonk and it's that sort of style and it's really cool. So I've played there a few times. I'm playing in a place called Little Nashville in London in August and in November, which is kind of, as I said, another sort of again like honky tonk bar. And there's a few of these kind of popping up where they're kind of creating these dive bars and kind of Americanized bars, and they're really cool. And those sort of places are, to me, they're like my favorite places because one, they're the sort of places I'd want to be if I wasn't performing anyway, and two, to be there to perform and then see like-minded people and stuff is great. But my favorite currently, I'd say, is probably a place called the Country Cafe, which is just outside of London, in Ingatstone. And it's just, the owners are absolutely, Sarah and Matt are absolutely great. They just, they completely get it, what it is for a country artist. They get how gigs should be. They get how an Americanized bar is going to be as well, and just they really get the kind of the country scene and just the music scene in general. So yeah, definitely my favorite place. So if anyone's around there, I'd say go check that one out.
Oh, definitely. See, this is why I wish I lived over there because these are all places I want to see. People say, "Oh, I'm playing this place." Like, come on, I want to go.
Oh, we'll have to
Um,
get you over. Well, yeah, we'll get
yeah,
you over
there
for
we
review,
go. Yeah,
sure.
I'll fly over for the gig. Fly home the next day. I'm sure
Yeah,
that'll
it's
be
easy.
fine.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Exactly. All right, Ben. Well, we are coming down to the end of this conversation, but the big question that everyone wants to know is, what is next for you?
So, as I said briefly earlier, I've got a kind of a collaboration single coming out in the next few weeks, which will be great. And then after that, I do have another one of my own singles that's going to be coming out. Currently, the working title of that is "It's Not Worked Again," so keep an eye out for that one as it comes. That should hopefully, I want to say, hopefully, we're looking towards probably September now for that to come out, but that should be kind of a big, nice ballad that's going to be coming out, and it is kind of the end of these kind of three singles I've been putting out, and then I'll be looking at maybe doing a few more acoustic things for a little while before I kind of look to maybe move on to an EP or an album again. So yeah, I think some more releases definitely are on the line. That's something I'm looking forward to. I'll be gigging as much as I can. I'm actually looking a lot more now to be gigging and booking in for quite a few original gigs and stuff as well. Obviously, I do them quite a lot in general, but it'd be nice to kind of transition slowly from covers into originals a bit more, and that's kind of what I'm aiming to do at the moment. And we're kind of I'm looking around at kind of a lot of the country places in the UK and things, and obviously, if there's a chance for me to get overseas, then I will be.
Hey, you're always welcome over here, man. So come on
uh,
over.
any time I can, I'll be over there.
Sounds good. All right. Well, folks, you've heard the man, you've heard about the music. Now, here's what you do. You go to benhutchison.com. Everything is there. Follow his socials, follow his Spotify, listen to Almost There. Listen to the debut EP, and of course, much more to come. And Ben, thank you once again for joining us. It's been a lot of fun talking to you.
Man, thank you so much for having me. It's been great talking to you. It's just such a lovely kind of chance to kind of speak about myself and kind of about the music and just have such a great conversation with such a great person.
Excellent. All right. Well, for the folks at home, as always, we love that you're listening to the show. Appreciate that. And we'll see you all next time.